Hello guys, I tried to do yesterday when I see the mainstream media source, but obviously I wanted to get your opinions on it due to the fact of my internet being absolutely fucking shite. It's absolutely diabolical at the present moment in time. Having to do videos, I'm having to do videos during the morning and fucking upload them in the evening. It's pretty much taking the best part of the day to upload. But yeah, I want to get your opinions on the Stop the War Coalition, on the criticism that they seem to be getting at the present moment in time after Boris Johnson called for protests outside the Russian embassy in London. Obviously, I take what the news feed tells you, and then obviously, as usual, because I'm not a sheep or a robot, I do have thoughts for myself. So obviously I want to share my thoughts and obviously hopefully get a few of your responses back from it. You have to forgive me for the shakiness of the camera. It's absolutely fucking freezing cold outside at the present moment in time. But getting to the point. 1. Boris Johnson calling for protests. Any official, anyone high ranking in the government calling for protests, if you're not Jeremy Corbyn, is a weird thing. Calling for protests against an adversary, somebody that we have a problem with, obviously is not going to cause, is not going to go down, happy families. Hello Chris, how you doing my friend? Thank you for viewing. But for Boris Johnson to turn around and say, right, I want protests outside fucking Russia's embassy. Okay, that's fine. You can ask for anything you want. Do you know what I'm saying? I've been asking for a suitcase full of gold or precious resources for years, just so that we can protect some. But don't think that we're here for your beck and call. What happened when we called for you to stop bombing Syria? Stop bombing Afghanistan. Stop sticking your nose in where it's not wanted. Silly Boris. Yeah, silly Boris. Yes, I agree with you, Gary. Thank you for viewing as well. But where does he get off calling for us to do something? Calling for the Stop the War Coalition. Hello, Mark. How are you doing today? When we organised the protests, I listened to fucking... Hello, Phil. How you doing? I was listening to the Vice President of the Stop the War Coalition, and don't get me wrong, I understand the BBC have their own political agenda, and obviously are only going to ask questions. Hello Josh, how you doing my friend? I know that they're only going to ask their own questions for their own political gains, and they're what their masters have told them to say. But this guy, as far as I was concerned, any turkey... Why would there be any turkey, Gary? If you don't mind explaining. Why would we protest against Russia when we can't actually change that? Do you know what I'm saying? Hello Emma, how you doing? How can we, change the opinions of the Russians if we start protesting outside the Russian embassy? That, by that definition, that means that, by protesting outside Parliament, that would make a difference. And how many of you been there and done that and got the t-shirt and even got the bruises and the billy club to the back of the head to prove it? Don't get me wrong, I understand what Boris is saying. Do you know what I'm saying? You'll stop the war coalition and, you should be, trying to stop the war from both sides. But Stop the War Coalition is based in London. It's based in Great Britain, or it is. So, we would focus, or they would focus on, 61 trees. Are you joking me, Chris? What the hell? I'm so glad that, I shared that though. I really am, hopefully it can do some good in the world, I'd actually like to see, I might mail them and ask them if they could send us a video, me or you, Chris, or any of you others that have actually taken part in this, to actually show that these trees are getting, planted, so that we can show people that, we are doing some good. But yeah, Stop the War Coalition is a good organisation. I've been following them for a number of years, 2 or 3 I suppose, and I think their work is absolutely brilliant. They focus on the not just the wars that could be happening in the future, but are going back and bringing up the problems with the wars that have already happened or we've been involved in. If Boris Johnson wants real change, if he believes that protesting outside the Russian embassy is actually going to do a slight bit of difference, then how about, hello Patrick, how you doing, my friend? How about for a start, we stop selling bombs to the Saudis, we stop all intervention in Syria, remove ourselves from Syria, remove ourselves from the Syrian borders, and allow for Russia to do the exact same thing. Stop funding these moderate rebels, stop calling them moderate rebels for a start, and actually start taking responsibility for what we actually do. Are you getting stoned later? I don't get stoned, brother. I think that's the misconception that people have with not just me, but with stoners. Or I suppose that would kind of mix to your thing of getting stoned later. But I don't smoke it to get stoned. I smoke it to have some stronger connection with the world around me, instead of this fake reality than which we are brought up in. I believe that it is like my anchor to a world which we want. A good video on YouTube called Religion, and instead of giving it a watch, American, but it applies here, I would definitely be giving it a watch. Phil, if you could give me a link either in this or PM, just to save me doing a little bit of legwork, I would be grateful to you, brother. But we remove ourselves from Russia and from Syria. We ask the Russians to do the same, because at the end of the day, we need to put it back to a level playing field. The waters have been muddied up enough, I believe, with the Russians saying that they've got good intentions, the British saying that they've got good intentions, the Turkish, the French, whoever else has been involved. Yes, brother, it's meditation and thinking, yes, I agree with you 100%. Hello Sandra, how you doing? Because if we remove ourselves and any interventions, planes, I don't believe it's got as far as having troops on the ground, but I think that's what our government and the Western coalitions have been paying these moderate rebels for. But if we remove them from the playing field, or from the chessboard, as I like to call Syria at the present moment in time, the Russians would then take suit. And then you'd be able to have your discussions of who's done wrong, who's done wrong, who's done wrong. Because at the end of the day, pointing fingers at each other, saying that you are the better, you are the worst evil. Hello Scott, how you doing? Doesn't exactly work when you're accusing, or the British government or British establishment or the Western establishment is criticising the Russians for their actions in Syria, and then they're just pointing the finger back at us because we're doing exactly the same thing. Where we can't say that we are the better out of the two, and they can't say they're the better out of the two. As far as I'm concerned, we're both as bad as each other. It would be like, what's the lesser evil out of Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump? There isn't one. They're both evil. They're both as bad as each other. They both have their own political and immediate gains. I did DMT and started tripping off, but for a while, but back to normal now. I haven't tried that myself. A friend of mine did say that that was a good way to open your third eye. Hello Gary. Hello Eggs on Toast. How you doing? Is that a good enough shout for you, my friend? Do you know who Jack Brown is? No, I haven't got a clue who Jack Brown is. Sorry, Gary. But yeah, I'm hoping that some of you guys can see it from that point of view as well. If we remove ourselves from the situation, if we get the Russians then follow suit because we've done the same things, then we can stop playing this point the finger game. We can then actually sit down with Assad, because that's who's in charge, of this country. As much as the media has been portraying that, it's Russian intervention, Western intervention, this, that, and the other. Assad is still in charge of his country. And as much as the